So the first thing you want to do is get a good like warm up, I guess, in 5 to 10 minutes, just to get your whole body warm, so you're not stretching with cold muscles, because that's a good way to like pull muscles. So I just like warmed up. I did an ab workout, and it was like a 10-minute full body kind of workout, but not really. I don't know. But after we warm up, then we start stretching. We go to the left, to the right, and we go over. And you want to make sure your chest is up, and you're not like slouching forward, because it's bad for your back. And then we go hands up, and we like bend backwards to stretch our back. And then we go flat back, and it's like halfway to our leg. And we sit here for a little bit, and then we go all the way down to our leg. And if you like can't touch your head to your knee, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Just get as low as possible, and you want to make sure that you're not like arching your back, because that's like not good for your back. And then we plie, and we straighten, releve, and straighten, and plie, and flex your front foot. And then we go down to a lunge. You want to make sure that your knee isn't like really bent. You want to keep it as straight as possible. And keep your knee behind your foot. Back here, this knee behind your foot, so it's not like over like that. You want to make sure it's at a 90-degree angle. And then we place our knee down and press forward. Some people even put their hand down to press forward, or like you can come up and press forward, whatever works best for you. And then we push it back into like a triangle, and you just stretch forward. It's stretching like your hamstring in here, so just stretch forward, making sure you're not rounding your back, and then push it back and grab your back foot. And you want to make sure that you're at an angle down here. You're not like up and then trying to pull your foot back, because you won't feel a stretch. So you like really push your hips all the way forward. Okay, and then we go back to a lunge and turn it out. This foot should be flat on the ground, and to get a deeper stretch in your hips, bring this foot like farther out this way, and make sure you're always pointing your feet too. And then you just want to get as low as possible to the ground. If bringing your foot out this far like hurts too bad, we usually bring it in forward, and we just kind of like sit on this leg. So you can do that too. And then we switch. Or you could bring this foot out more. Just make sure that your foot is always flat on the ground, whatever you're doing. And then go into a deep plie. And your knees want to be going out in both directions, not like in, I guess, because that's bad for your knees as well. So then just push your hips out. You can twist. Ooh, I just cracked my back. You could twist to stretch your hips more. And then we straighten. And you want to get like your chest to the ground before your head, because then you're like more of thinking about straightening your back and not rounding it. And then we plie, and straighten, and then we plie and reach your hands back as far as you can, and then straighten, making sure you're keeping that flat back. and then come up, and we do everything we just did on the right side. So we go left, right, left, and over. And flat back. And knee down. I did just injure myself on this leg, so it's not as flexible, and that's totally fine. You normally have like a dominant and a non-dominant leg, so some people are flexible on both sides. And then we plie, and you want to make sure your outside foot is like straight, I guess, to the front. It's not turned in too much. And then straighten and releve, straighten and plie and flex your front foot. And you go down to your lunge. And you can set your back leg down and press forward. And grab your back foot. And turn it out. And switch. And you can sit back and go to your butterfly. We kind of just sit here for a while and warm up our hips, push them down. You can always lean forward as long as you're keeping your back straight. Think about getting like your belly button and your chest to the ground before your head. Also make sure that you're keeping your feet together and they're not like coming apart like this. It's bad for your knees. So keep them together. And then we go out to our straddle. And this one, really, it doesn't matter if you're like full split, it doesn't matter if you're here, it doesn't matter like where you are, as long as you're sitting up on your butt bones and keeping that back nice and straight and up. We talk about keeping our back straight and up a lot, and it's really for like posture. Posture is a big thing in dance. And when you're in your straddle as well, you want to make sure that your knees aren't like coming forward. It's bad for your knees and your hips. So make sure like you're either flexing and like pushing your knees and legs out, or pointing and like sitting on your butt bones but sitting back. So then we just do what we did standing up, but we do it in our straddle. So you go left, right, and over. And also you want to make sure your chest is up and it's not like crouching forward. And then we go our nose to knee. If you're unable to do that, just work on getting like your chest to your leg as soon as possible rather than your head first. So you can do this for a beginner. You can go down, and if you're at your knee and don't feel a stretch, you can go behind your knee and stretch down farther, but don't go in front of your knee. It's a different stretch. And then we go to our 45-degree angle, so it's like right here that we stretch. And you can just sit on your elbows here, or stretch farther. And then walk your hands to the middle. And then walk to your other 45. And then come up and go left, right, left, and over this side. And then go nose to knee. And 45. And then to your middle. This is when I recommend flexing your feet and pushing your legs out like behind you, because you're less likely to bring them forward. And if you can't, like wherever your range of flexibility is, if you are just here and you're working on your hips, that's totally fine. If you're like down here and working on your hips, that's great too. Whatever, like, don't push yourself to where you hurt yourself. That's the main thing. Just to where it's like a comfortable hurt. But if you are super low, you can go all the way down, making sure that you are pushing your legs out and you're getting your chest down before your head. So after we just stretch our middle, we roll through to our frog position. So you roll through your middle splits. And it's okay if you're way up here, it's totally fine. But then you just roll in to this. And normally we don't have people like stretching us ourselves, so you can push your hands out and push yourself back to get lower. And if you're up here, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. And then we roll flat, and you can't really see, so I'll move this way. But then you just want to get your feet to the ground. We're kind of like in a diamond, I guess. Okay. And then after that, we do our pigeons. So for this stretch, your goal is to get your foot at a 90-degree angle in front of you and your hips on top of yourself. So you never want to be sitting back because you don't feel that stretch and it's not the right stretch for your split. So if you can't get your foot to a 90-degree angle, it's okay if you move it back a little bit, just so that you're sitting on top of your hips, which is the main goal. But if you don't feel a stretch, feel free to move that leg out. You can lean down to get more of a stretch. You can go back. And then we do the other side. Same thing on the other side. Okay, and then we are going to attempt our splits. I will make another video on stretches that you can do to work on your splits. But yeah, we're just going to go into our splits now. It's totally fine if you aren't there yet. If you are, good job. But just make sure you're keeping this back leg straight, and then you're sitting like we practice in our pigeon. You're sitting like towards, like on top of your hips. You're not sitting out like this, because that's not a good stretch and it doesn't feel good. If you're not in your splits, don't worry about it. But try to keep your front leg straight, and you can keep your back leg straight as well. And then just keep your chest up and sit like this, and you will feel a stretch like that as well. And if you are in your splits and need something more, feel free to grab pillows or books or something and put them on top of your, or like below your, on the floor, and then you can put your foot on top. But just sit here and then come out of it. And then we're going to do our left split. And then you want to make sure that you're pushing forward and you're on top of your hips. And then come out. And our last one to do is going to be our middle split. So we just go into a bug and then we slide out. And you can sit in your straddle first if you would like, and then roll over. And this is when your legs can go forward because your whole body is pushing forward, as long as your hips are going down towards the ground. So then we push forward. And your goal is to get your hips to the ground. And then you can come out. And you can also, I didn't add this in, but when you are in your butterfly, warming up your hips, you can go into your pike as well. This is like not a very good stretch for me, but just make sure that you're keeping your back straight and leaning forward, and it doesn't matter how far you are. It's okay, you'll always feel a stretch, I guess. Just keep your back straight. And then you can flex your feet. Make sure, if you're not like leaning forward, reaching and pulling your feet, make sure that you're hyperextending them, which means just taking them off the ground. And then point them. You can roll your feet out. And that is our stretching video. Thank you so much for